media is melting down. The media is having a full-on panic attack because Trump used the word bloodbath. Oh, my God. Bloodbath. Oh, the whole world is panicking. Trump warns of a bloodbath if he loses. Oh, no. Trump warns of madness and insanity in the whole media landscape, from corporate media to social media. Everyone was losing their mind. Trump warns of a bloodbath. So bloody, so crazy. So let's talk about it, because obviously to vote blue no matter who, people are totally using this, right? So they're talking about. First, let's pull up an article from RT. Trump warns of a bloodbath if he loses. Former U.S. President Donald Trump warned of a bloodbath for the American automobile industry and the country as a whole if he doesn't win a second term in the U.S. election on November 5th. Trump made the remark during a rally in Vandalia, Ohio on Saturday, while speaking about his plans to protect U.S. car makers from Chinese competition. The former president addressed China's leader Xi Jinping from the stage, saying that you and I are friends, but those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, you're not going to hire Americans, and you're going to sell the car. You're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No. We're going to put 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. The presumptive Republican nominee in the election added, well, he is the nominee, so there you go. Trump urged Americans to vote for him in the fall, saying, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. So that's when the whole media just went crazy. And, of course, here we have such keen-eyed eagles like Jen Psaki. Because here we go. Because I'm going to play the full video of Trump talking about a bloodbath first. So let's go ahead and play it. Because he was talking about the automobile industry. And obviously every single politician, no matter what office they're running for, is going to say like, hey, you got to vote for me. Otherwise it's going to be crazy. It's going to be madness and insanity. All this stuff about Trump being this great big evil. No. But this has been taken out of context. Let's go and play it. Don't think on me, stupid machine. Anyways, let's go and play it again. And by the way, I want to give a huge shout out to Turncoat Don. Thank you so much for this link. Much love to him. So be sure to support him. Let's go and play this video.
Car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it.
And with those words, the whole media went insane. The word bloodbath, the whole word is just everybody in the media landscape just went insane. They collectively lost their minds. They grabbed their pants because Trump used the word bloodbath, because they're all afraid that they're going to be lined up and fired against the wall. That's not going to happen. Everyone's grandstanding and panicking. Someone tell Keith Olbermann that it's okay for him to get out from underneath his bed from his fancy apartment in New York City. It's fine. Quit wetting yourself.
It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. A friend of mine, all he does is build car manufacturing plants. He's the biggest in the world. I mean, honestly, I joke about it. He can't walk across the street. In that way, he's like Biden. But for building a plant, he can do the greatest plants in the world, right? That's all he cares about. I said, I'd like to see one of your plants recently. I said, I'd like to see, where can we go? Well, we have to travel to Mexico. I said, why Mexico? He said, because that's where the big plants are building. China's building really big plants in Mexico, and Mexico's building. What about here? Well, we're building much smaller plants here. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? So what they're saying, Jim Jordan, is that we're going to make cars in Mexico, and they're going to do. You're not going to stand for that, Bernie, JD. I have a feeling JD is not.
I kind of like how right now they just pull up this advertising right now. Get your 2024 gold and silver kit now. No, I don't come in gold or silver. You only get your only original recipe Kit Kat. So there you go. You can't have that.
JD's not big into that policy. 100% tariff. They won't sell any cars over here. And I'll tell them, if they want to build a plant in Michigan, in Ohio, in South Carolina, they can, using American workers. They can. They can't send Chinese workers over here, which they sometimes do. But if they want to do that, we're welcome, right? But they're not going to build them in Mexico, and they're not going to do that. We're going to tariff them at 100%, just like I've done. I saved the steel industry. The people that like me the most are the steel companies. But now I've been out for a little while, and guess what? United States Steel, 50 years, 60 years ago, maybe the greatest company in the world, was just sold to Japan. How do you like that? U.S. Steel.
And that's a problem with globalism. That's a problem with corporations. The problem with Democrats and Republicans implementing these laws. And these corporations want it to happen. All right. They don't want to pay American workers, and they don't want to take care of American workers. So the reason why I played that video in its full entirety is because he only used the word bloodbath just twice, right? It'll be a bloodbath. That's it. For the automobile industry, for the whole country, right? That's what he's saying. That's going to be madness and insanity. But of course, the media decided to run with it. Thank goodness for Jen Psaki, because guess what she's going to connect with that whole bloodbath statement? Guess who she's going to cry about as Donald Trump gives them a salute? You'll see.
But then late yesterday afternoon, Donald Trump spoke at a rally in Ohio, and we decided we have to start here.
We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars.
It's going to be a bloodbath for the country.
No, he's talking about the automobile industry, and just he's just using his words. That's it. And then he went on to talk about U.S. Steel and how U.S. Steel was bought by Japan.
That will be the least of it. Now, the Trump team quickly said last night, nothing to see here. He was just talking about the auto industry. Consider the full context, everyone. Otherwise, it's irresponsible. Well, if they want us to consider the full context, let's do just that. Because the full context is that Trump kicked off the same exact rally by saluting the people who were convicted for the deadly assault on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th.
Fucking A, what'd I tell you? They can't go a single minute without bringing up January 6th and Donald Trump. The vicious assault, the dangerous, horrific nightmare of January fucking 6th. I am tired of hearing about that day. They're making it sound like Julius Caesar came back to life and crossed the Rubicon and said, hey, here I am, about to destroy the Republic. Nothing of significance happened that day, okay? There, just to trigger the liberals. Nothing happened. You want to know why? You had a bunch of dumb idiots go inside the Capitol building. That's it. Nothing else happened. Oh, and were they destroying everything? No. A lot of them were getting guided little tours of Washington, D.C. That's it. But according to AOC, her life, oh God, her life was in danger. The Democrats were dodging and hiding and crawling and running. All the politicians were so scared. It was the end of the world as we know it, a civil war without end. And you know what, folks? No, I am not excited about that show that's going to be coming on, talking about the Civil War, American Civil War. I think we all saw that trailer where the guy comes up to this dude wearing these fancy or, kind of cat fancy sunglasses and says, hey, we're Americans. And the guy takes off his glasses and says, yeah? Well, what kind of Americans? Seriously, January 6th, it was a insignificant day. Nothing of value happened. Everyone went right back to normal after January 6th. The world kept moving on. But because Donald Trump saluted the people at January 6th, what do you think he's supposed to do? They're his supporters, his volunteers, the people who support his campaign. What do you think he's going to do? Just flip them off and give them the middle finger? But because he saluted them, automatically we got to assume the word bloodbath means like, all right, get your guns out, get your knives out. Time for a civil war.
All to the tune of the national anthem sung by a choir of imprisoned insurrectionists.
Imprisoned insurrectionists. They didn't do anything. They didn't replace the senators or House of Representatives. Biden was sworn in as president. I mean, that's what happened. It's over. Quit panicking. Plus, what good old Jen Psaki here is failing to bring up in her little report, in her little news report, is that in some parts of that infamous day, the cops just opened the door and said, all right, fellas, come on in. No one talks about that, do they?
Full context is that some of the first words out of Trump's mouth last night, same rally, were thanking those rioters and calling them patriots. The full context is that he also said in this same rally, quote, if this election isn't won, I'm not sure that you'll ever have another election in this country. The full context is that he went on to say some undocumented immigrants are, quote, not people. And of course, the full context is that this is much bigger than one single speech. This embrace of political violence, this dehumanizing language. This is what Donald Trump has been preaching for years.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. When Donald Trump was a Democrat, all you people loved him. Hill Dog loved him. Democratic donors loved him. Corporate media loved him. I mean, y'all kind of knew who he was already. That's why anything that comes out of Trump's mouth doesn't surprise me. He said this kind of shite before. But don't worry, it's not like Biden never said anything controversial. It's not like Biden never once said that, oh, I don't want my white kids to be with black kids. You know, not ever Joe Biden was against busing or desegregation. I mean, heaven forbid we bring that up. Heaven forbid we bring up the fact that Joe Biden wrote and signed the crime bill. Remember that? He's the architect of that. That led to the incarceration of a lot of black and brown people here in the United States, right? No, we don't want to ever bring that up. Oh, God, no. Goodness gracious, Cretaceous. What about Bill Clinton and calling young black people super predators, right? Oh, God, I hope we don't bring that up. Goodness gracious. Never once are we going to show the hypocrisy of Democratic lawmakers. Not once, not ever. Jen, are you going to do that, Jen? No, probably not, Jen. But because Trump said it, oh, it's so horrible. It's so horrible. It triggers the liberal mind.
In January, he warned that there will be, quote, bedlam in this country if his criminal prosecution derailed his campaign. Late last year, he echoed the dehumanizing language of Adolf Hitler, comparing his political opponents to vermin and saying immigrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of our country.
Okay, first of all, I've seen politicians of all level call their enemies and opponents, you know, a lot of mean things. What Trump is doing isn't anything brand new. We've seen this before. We have seen this before, Jen. Stop acting like this is your first time. I normally don't do this. Yeah, right.
Last month, he said there would be potential death and destruction if he was charged in the Manhattan criminal probe. And during his first term, he flat out refused to condemn the political violence at a white nationalist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, saying there were very fine people on both sides. The
fact that dumbass said that was the dumbest thing ever. Seriously, probably was one of those moments where someone pulled Trump aside like, hey, man, that wasn't cash money. And it wasn't.
In 2020, he reportedly asked his defense secretary about shooting people who were protesting the death of George Floyd, saying, can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something. And of course, his very words inspired violence on January 6, 2021, when he told a crowd.
Here we go, right back to January 6th. So second of all, by the way, it's not like Democrats ever called for the shooting of people. It's not like Democrats have ever done anything that controversial, right? Because they have. Not to mention, Democrats also do plenty of controversial things that show their hypocrisy. Never forget when all those politicians decide to take a knee. Never forget when they did that and did all that grand posturing. And what happened afterwards? Oh, that's right. Nothing fundamentally changed. Never forget how Democratic politicians have voted in favor of unending war, sending arms and weapons to so many other countries while the rest of us are out there hungry and starving and facing homelessness. But it's okay. Democrats have never once showed their own hypocrisy.
Proud of his supporters to walk down to the Capitol and fight like hell because, quote, you'll never take back our country with weakness. Trust me, I could go on and on and on. We all know by.
Don't worry. And you guys will go on and on and on because if Trump is made president and he wins, you guys got so much content. I mean, secretly, Jen and everybody else at BSDNC and corporate media, you all are probably foaming at the mouth, ready to get on your knees, praying to God, hoping that he becomes president, because then guess what? You get a boost in the ratings. You get a boost in viewership. They're putting this act on like, oh, we don't want Trump, when secretly behind closed doors, like, oh, I hope to God Trump wins, because then you bring in the views. Let's face it, corporate media pundits, those new cars and boats don't buy themselves, right?
By now that Trump's allusions to political violence are not merely rhetorical. His supporters take them literally. That's part of the big problem here. And he knows that too. So no, we did not miss the full context. This was not some meandering off-message comment.
All right, Jen. Well, you did. And you know what? I just want to pull this up here, okay? I want to pull this up here because here's the thing. Mainstream media was referring to the RNC layoffs as a bloodbath just 5 days ago.
Donald Trump's allies have now ordered mass layoffs at the Republican National Committee. It comes just days after Trump's allies, including his daughter-in-law, took command of the RNC. Headlines calling it a, quote, bloodbath.
Oh, God, it's a bloodbath. So much blood everywhere. It's like Julius Caesar's wife as she was having that horrific vision of the future of the people bathing in Caesar's blood. It was a bloodbath everywhere. No, people just got fired, okay? That's it. Just a word.
Bloodbath.
Bloodbath.
Politico is now describing it as less a shakeup, more a bloodbath. 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 What's happening?
I mean, it is. It's a bloodbath.
What did you think about Donald Trump's bloodbath comments? And I must note, look, Donald Trump's campaign says that he was talking about an economic bloodbath.
Yeah.
I don't know if I buy that, but that is in fact what the campaign said.
He uses these high impact words that have either the direct or implicit tone of violence, right? So at this point in the game, trying to parse a word like bloodbath strikes me as being entirely absurd. This is violence, violence, violence. So when he says the word bloodbath, he knows what he's doing. And then when he says you'll never have another election again if I don't win, well, that too has a tone of violence to it as well. The only way to take power would then be to use violence if there are no elections.
We know he has a way.
So they talk about bloodbath, right? So listen, I had to pull out the thesaurus. All right. So look, blood, bloody. See, killing. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about it. There's many things they could have used besides bloodbath, but let's face it, corporate media. I don't think you have. I don't think you can afford anyone to kind of help you find different words. So finishing stroke, execution, there you go. That's something right there. Oh my goodness, you got so many other words. You could say to butcher, massacre. All this kind of stuff. You could say, what else you could say? You could say it's carnage. I like finishing stroke though. That's a coup d'etat. There you go. Punishment. Ooh, that's another word. Fatality. There's a lot of words in this thing. A lot of words in a big old thesaurus.
Of using these words and to sort of incite the kind of response from his audience, but there is meaning behind those words. Because as I said, my mom said, well, he's a grown man, so, use the words that you mean, right?
Damn. So let's go ahead and keep pushing forward. Okay? So listen. The whole thing about a bloodbath, all right? Everyone needs to get over it. The word has no meaning whatsoever, okay? It's just a word that politicians are going to use, and the media is just panicking. Of course, you have the people at Morning Blow having their own meltdown as well.
He's talking about a bloodbath for America. It's laid out in the terms of it. And these idiots on Twitter, these idiots on cable news, these idiots on Sunday shows going, well, president, he was talking only about the auto industry, and this is one more. It's just bullshit. Let me say that.
Whoa! Hey, this is a family-friendly show. Mika, blink twice if you need help.
It's 6:15 a.m. It's just bullshit. He knew what he was doing. We're not stupid. Americans aren't stupid. He was talking about a bloodbath. Sometimes a bloodbath means a bloodbath. And when he finishes by saying, and that's just going to be the least of it, seriously, these people may be stupid. We're not.
Oh, yeah. Hey, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. After watching that Jake Tapper admission of how he believed how Governor Sanford was on the Appalachian Trail. Type 3 for Kit. These are smart people who are serious people. Type 4, no, these are not serious people, and they've lied to us, and they've done stupid things, and they've been stupid before, either on purpose or as an act. I wonder how many 4s we'll get in the chat, because I want to pull this up here as well. People were so triggered by Trump's word bloodbath. Musk promotes X over legacy media amid Trump bloodbath comments. Oh, because it's a bloodbath. Oh, my goodness. So bloody everywhere. No pun intended. Tech billionaire Elon Musk appeared to come to former President Trump's defense on Sunday over media coverage of the former president's bloodbath comments, saying people should use X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, to avoid being misled by legacy media. Musk suggested that legacy media outlets were taking Trump's comments on Saturday out of context when reporting on the former president's rally. During a heated rally in Ohio Saturday night, Trump warned there would be a bloodbath. Oh, God, a bloodbath. A final stroke, ooh la la, in the U.S. if he loses the November election when talking about his proposal for steep tariffs on vehicle imports. And again, here's his quote. We're going to put 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line. You're not going to be able to sell those guys if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. And he said that not once, but twice, and that's it. And he's talking about the automobile industry and how if he doesn't get in, oh my goodness, the American people are going to get ripped off. But let's face it, Trump is a Republican politician. And like any politician, be they Democrat or Republican, they're going to side with the corporations. You think he's going to care about the average worker? No, he won't. Musk on Sunday fired off a series of posts on X in response to the coverage. He says that people should use X to share the news instead of reading the news from the outlets. He's responded to one user's post that accused the media of lying about Trump's recent comments, which legacy media lies. He also wrote in a separate post that it's easy to tell who is an NPC today, alongside a meme of a gray cartoon character with a speech bubble that says bloodbath, because that's all what the media said. That's all what the media did. But you know, at the end of the day, when we have breaking articles like this from Politico, breaking, in on the joke, the comedic trick Trump uses to normalize his behavior. Okay. Yes. See, hold on. And I had to read this because the unofficial saint of our studio was brought up. I've been indicted more times than Alphonse Capone. R.I.P. Alphonse. You were set up. And no, Alphonse Capone was an innocent bystander, okay? He only went to jail because he didn't pay his freaking taxes, man. Stupid IRS. Donald Trump said at a Winthrop Coliseum in Rock Hill, South Carolina, Alphonse Capone is not guilty. It's true, he said. It's not, but what mattered the most was here he was, late last month, uncorking a especially lively version of what has become a routinely rally riff, and one that never fails to send ripples of giggles through the crowds he commands. My parents are looking down there saying, I never thought this would happen to my son. He's been indicted. He said, hands out, heads up, revealing to the hoots on cue. Okay, great. You know what? Donald? If you weren't born as a businessman with a silver spoon in your mouth, you missed your calling to be a real good comedian, man. So who cares? Who cares, man? Who cares? Okay, so and obviously this article from Politico, hard-hitting journalism, saying, "Oh, that's so Trump is using comedy to hide his behavior," and everyone's laughing. That's the whole thing at a political rally. You want to, make your supporters happy. And Trump uses his words to inspire his supporters. Trump uses his words to engage his supporters, unlike Biden and the Democrats who can't engage for shit. It's true. They can't engage with their with their supporters. The Democrats can't inspire. There's a lack of enthusiasm. And so this whole word of bloodbath, this whole word of, oh no, Trump's going to do this and that, and he saluted the people at January 6th. I don't care, and neither should any of you. It's all one big distraction, one big waste of time. Who cares if Donald Trump said that? At the end of the day, Democrats, what are you doing? Do you have old man Biden doing anything monumental or great? The answer is no, he isn't. It's madness and insanity, and it's a failure at every single level. Democrats, corporate media, tell us how you really feel. all of you are secretly hoping Trump gets into office because number one, he'll be good for money. He'll be good for fundraisers. He'll be good for viewership. He'll be good to get all your little sock puppet accounts to get all excited and trigger people like Trump said this today in the White House. Trump did that today in the White House. Trump did this right now at this rally. That's all what they are going to care about. They don't care if Biden loses. They don't care if the country automatically comes under Trump's command. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to be about the dollars. Check your emails today, right now, folks, and you're going to get an email from some Democratic politician or some Democratic group. You're going to get a text message as well, and they're going to say Trump talked about bloodbath today and how it's going to be bad, and if he doesn't get elected, will you give us $15? They have nothing else to offer you except for give us money. Give us money, and we'll protect you from the orange boogeyman.